You don't realize you've been abandoned right away. It doesn't happen in a dramatic moment. No shouting, no slammed doors, no final goodbye that echoes. Sometimes it sounds like this. Don't be reckless with it. If you like real stories that stay with you, make sure you're subscribed. That's what my mother said the morning she left me. She checked her carry-on twice, verified her passport, reminded my father to confirm the Uber, but she never checked on me. I was 11, standing at the top of the stairs in socked feet, watching them move through the hallway like people late for something important. Quick, efficient, focused, like I wasn't part of the equation. My mother, Sylvia, wore a cream linen blazer. Her hair was pinned up, perfect, deliberate. The kind of look she saved for photos. My father, Owen, said almost nothing. That wasn't unusual. He existed in our house the way furniture exists. Present, functional, unnoticed. Before she walked out, my mother placed two things on the kitchen table. A folded pair of $10 bills, a silver credit card, still sealed $20 for the month, she said. The card is for emergencies only. Then she left. The door clicked shut behind them. And just like that, I was alone. Stay with this one, it only gets harder from here. I stood at the window, watching the car pull away. I waited 5 minutes. You know, the way you wait after hearing a strange noise in the dark, just in case it comes back. It didn't. We lived in a quiet suburb outside Columbus. Beige house, clean lawn, predictable silence. The kind of place where everything looks perfect. My mother had nearly 9,000 followers online. She posted Sunday dinners, seasonal decor, smiling photos. Grateful for this little life. If you scrolled far enough back, you'd find me in those pictures. Smaller, useful, aesthetic. By the time I turned 9, I disappeared. Not physically, just edited out. She doesn't like being photographed, my mother would say. That wasn't true. But I learned early not to argue with her version of reality. My father worked long hours, came home tired, ate quietly. He wasn't cruel, just absent in a way that had nothing to do with distance. By 2nd grade, I made my own breakfast. By 3rd grade, I signed my own school forms. My mother called me remarkably self-sufficient. The way someone might describe a plant that doesn't need watering. And here's the thing that took me years to understand. I thought this was normal. I thought all kids learned to stay quiet, to take up less space, to earn attention instead of expecting it. I didn't know I was being trained to be left behind. 2 weeks before they left, my mother called me into the living room. She told me about Europe, not like it was exciting, more like she was announcing a schedule change. Paris, Rome, then a Greek island. She mispronounced the name. You're old enough to manage, she added. You've been doing it half your life. My father stood by the glass door, facing away. I asked the only question that mattered. Who's staying with me? She looked at me like I'd made a typo. No one, she said, then, almost proudly, you know how to take care of yourself. If you're already feeling something is wrong, you're right, but it gets worse. Subscribe now, because the next part changes everything. 3 days after they left, I learned the truth about the emergency card. I was standing at a gas station counter, holding a bottle of juice and a can of soup. The cashier tried the card once, then again. Declined. Flat, uninterested, I put the juice back, kept the soup, walked home. $20, 30 days, that's 66 cents a day. I did the math out loud, because somehow saying it made it feel more manageable. At the grocery store, I stood in the aisle with a calculator app open. I chose instant ramen, white bread, peanut butter. I carried everything home in both arms. That night I made a plan, half a pack in the morning, half at night, water in between. Day 5, I called her. There was music in the background, soft, foreign. Mom, the card doesn't work. I don't have enough food. She sighed. You're being dramatic. Pause. $20 is plenty if you're not wasteful. She hung up. That night she posted a photo, candlelight, elegant plate, laughing, caption, La Dolce Vita. That's when I did something that changed everything. I picked up the old tablet from my drawer, opened the camera, pressed record. If you've made it this far, subscribe, because what happens next is proof that this mattered. Today is day 5, I said. My mom is in Europe. I ate half a pack of ramen. My voice didn't shake. That surprised me. And here's something you should remember. Sometimes strength doesn't feel like strength. Sometimes it feels like survival. Day 7, someone knocked on the door. Mr. Fife. My neighbor, 72 years old, slight limp, kind eyes. He looked at me for a long moment like he already knew. Would you like to come over for dinner? He asked. I made too much. We both knew he hadn't. That night I ate spaghetti at his table. And for the first time, I told the truth. He didn't interrupt, didn't react dramatically, just listened. When I finished, he leaned back and said quietly, I won't call anyone, not yet. Then, but I'm bringing you food every day. And then something even more important, you should keep a record, everything. He paused. Evidence gets believed. If you're still here, you already know this story isn't just about survival. It's about what happens when someone decides to speak. But the real turning point? It hasn't happened yet. Because just when I thought I could manage, my body started to give out before I fully understood what was happening. It wasn't dramatic at first, just small things, dizziness when I stood up too fast, a strange heaviness in my arms, the way my hands would tremble when I tried to open a jar. I told myself it was normal, that this was just part of managing, because that's what I had always done, adjust, adapt, minimize. Summer enrichment classes started the next week. My mother had enrolled me months earlier, not because she believed in the program, but because it looked good. A structured schedule, a productive child, another quiet detail to support the illusion of a well-managed life. By the 3rd day, I nearly collapsed during a math exercise. The numbers on the page blurred. My pencil slipped from my fingers. And then, nothing. When I woke up, I was lying on a narrow cot in the nurse's office. There was a woman I didn't recognize standing beside me. She was watching me carefully. Not the way adults usually looked at me, not distracted, not impatient. Focused. Concerned. She asked me when I had last eaten. I hesitated, not because I didn't know, but because I didn't know what answer was acceptable. She put me on a scale, wrote something down, then asked the question I had been avoiding, where are your parents? My teacher, Miss Aldrich, was standing nearby. She didn't say anything right away, but she looked at me in a way I hadn't experienced before, not like I was invisible, not like I was convenient, like I mattered. After the nurse stepped out, Miss Aldrich stayed. The room was quiet. Then she said something simple. I see you. That was it. 3 words, no pressure, no interrogation, just acknowledgement. I hadn't cried in 2 weeks, not when they left, not when the card failed, not when I rationed food down to half portions. I didn't cry then either, but something shifted. Like a knot inside, my chest loosened slightly. That evening, my phone rang, my mother. I heard the school contacted someone, she said. No greeting, no concern, just irritation. What exactly did you say? I didn't say anything, I told her. That part was true. Her voice dropped, colder now, controlled. You're embarrassing this family. A pause, then sharper. If you say one word to anyone, teacher, neighbor, anyone, I will put you in boarding school when I get back. Another pause. You won't be living here, do you understand me? My hands were shaking, but my voice didn't. Yes, I hung up. Stared at the wall for a long moment. Then I picked up the tablet again, pressed record. My mom just called, I said. She said if I tell anyone, she'll send me away. I didn't dramatize it, didn't cry, I just said it. Exactly as it happened. And then I kept going. Every day, I documented everything. The empty refrigerator, the slow drop on the bathroom scale, receipts from the grocery store. My journal entries dated precise, even her voicemail. I played it back and repeated it word for word into the camera. 22 days, 22 consecutive recordings. By then, it didn't feel like fear anymore. It felt like clarity. On the 22nd day, there was a knock at the door. This time, it wasn't Mr. Fife. It was a woman in a navy blazer, calm, composed, with 2 officers standing just behind her. Hello, Vera, she said gently. My name is Miss Yan. She stepped inside without urgency, but with purpose. She looked at everything. the kitchen, the fridge, the trash. Then she turned to me. "Do you have anything you'd like to show me?" I didn't hesitate. I brought her the tablet. She watched, all of it, without interrupting, without reacting visibly. When the final video ended, she looked up at me. There was something different in her expression now, not just concern, respect. "You're very careful," she said. "That matters." Then she asked a question no one had ever asked me before, not directly, not like this. "Do you want to be safe?" The answer came out before I could overthink it. "Yes." Saying it out loud felt unfamiliar, like I had crossed an invisible line. After that, things moved quickly, faster than anything in my life had ever moved before. There were reports, medical evaluations, numbers, dates, records. 9 pounds lost in 2 weeks. Spending records showing nearly $44,000 spent abroad. The inactive credit card, confirmed, documented, intentional. It wasn't neglect. Not in the way people try to excuse. It was deliberate. Meanwhile, my mother was planning a party. 38 guests, catered food, a projection screen filled with photos from their trip, smiling faces, perfect lighting, perfect moments. A banner hung across the front window. "Welcome home." When they returned, the house was full. Laughter, glasses clinking, stories being told. My mother stood in the center of it all, holding a drink, smiling effortlessly. Then the doorbell rang. "Subscribe because this is where everything turns," she answered it, already smiling, already prepared. Miss Yan stood on the porch, 2 officers behind her. Something in the room shifted. Subtle at first. A pause in conversation. A glance toward the door. My mother tried to close it. The officer spoke quietly. Firmly, they had a warrant. Inside, the projector clicked. Another image appeared, then the screen changed. My face, pale, 11 years old, holding the tablet. "Today is day 15, my recorded voice said. "There is 1 egg in the refrigerator. I have $4 left." The room went silent. My mother turned quickly, composed herself. "It's a misunderstanding," she said. "She's imaginative." A small laugh. 9-year-olds exaggerate. Miss Yan opened a folder, didn't raise her voice. Didn't need to, she read the facts. 1 by 1, no supervision for 30 days, a deliberately inactive credit card. $44,000 spent abroad. No one interrupted. No one defended her. The officers stepped forward. My parents were escorted out. At the door, my mother paused. She looked back at the banner, at the room she had created, at the life she had curated, and then she left again. This time, not by choice. The legal outcome was swift: probation, community service, a permanent record. But the most important decision came from family court. Their parental rights were terminated, just like that. My Aunt Nora had already filed for guardianship. It was approved the same day. Her apartment was small. 2 bedrooms, mismatched dishes, a worn couch with a blanket draped over the arm. It was the most comfortable place I had ever lived. She showed up. That was the difference. She came to my school events, wrote them down on the calendar, sat across from me at dinner, asked questions, followed up. At first, I kept waiting for it to stop, for her patience to run out, for the version of care I knew to return. It didn't. Years passed. I'm 18 now. I start college in the fall, full merit scholarship. Pre-law. Last week I found 2 letters, forwarded through the court system, from my mother. She said she was in therapy. She said she understood what she had done. She said she was proud of me. Then she admitted something else. That she had no right to say that. I read both letters, carefully, completely. Then I put them back in their envelopes. I haven't responded. I might, or I might not. And that choice, that quiet, simple decision, is something it took me years to understand I was allowed to have. She left me with $20 and a card she knew wouldn't work. She believed silence would protect her. That obedience would keep me small. She was wrong, because here's the truth: silence doesn't protect you. It protects the people who benefit from it. And the moment you decide to speak, everything changes. If this story meant something to you, subscribe, because some stories deserve to be heard.